What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm live stream Saturday night. That means it's time to make our picks for the Westgate Supercontest. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. Craig, we've watched the lines all week. We're coming off of a nice 4-1 week 12. How you feeling today? Have you checking in on our picks? We looking at some good value here? What do you think?
Yeah, going back and forth between college and pro. There's actually a really good game on right now between BYU and Coastal Carolina. I know that may not float your boat, but last year at this time we were so focused on college. It's hard for me to get off of that. But I'll catch the end when we're done. But yeah, I guess this is probably the least amount of line movement we've had in a long time, maybe weeks and weeks and weeks. It feels like we're always getting a ton of value on some of these picks, but this week in general, I suppose at least the action appears to be on both sides, which means it could be an interesting week in the NFL.
A little bit of a coin flip here and there at times. Definitely. Listen, we got some big spreads that we were looking at, as far as which dogs we were kind of enjoying, because neither one of us likes to lay double-digit points.
Right.
I think we found a really nice happy medium
Yeah.
with our picks here. I really do. So let's kick it right off here and start it off with one of those big dogs right off the bat. The Jaguars. We're taking them plus 10 against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. I mean, listen, to me, the Vikings defense hasn't proven anything, right? I mean, they lost the game to Dallas, which showed just what kind of a sieve their defense was. And then you look at some of the games that they've won, even, and it's just they haven't faced anybody strong. They haven't faced a juggernaut offense here. The Bears, the Lions. So I'm sorry, but Mike Glennon can at least keep this game close, especially getting DJ Chark back and knowing what James Robinson's doing on the ground.
Yeah, and I think that when I look at this, the one thing that when I'm gonna be taking big points in a game where the other team is favored is, first of all, you ask yourself a couple questions. The first is Minnesota the kind of team that deserves to be a 10-point favorite over anybody in the NFL? And if it's going to be anybody, maybe it would be the Jets. Jacksonville plays competitive, and they have for the most part all season long. The other part of this too is that Minnesota has struggled a little bit on the ground in terms of giving up runs, and James Robinson, I got to tell you, he's a good running back. He's been probably the biggest surprise maybe in all of fantasy this year too, and really the only big surprise I would say since the beginning of the season. So provided that Jacksonville can just kind of grind their way into this, we saw what happened with them late against Cleveland last week, where they just kept pushing and just handing off the ball. Eventually, Glennon hit on a couple of passes. I thought Glennon looked better than Minshew and Jake Luton, honestly. Like, I don't know why he did, and maybe it was one game. And look, Luton looked pretty good in one game also, and then he fell apart after that. But Minnesota's defense isn't really all that inspiring. So my expectation is that the Vikings are going to win the game, but 10 does seem like a lot of points. And again, when you're doing this, you want to believe that your underdog can win outright. It would be foolish to think that Jacksonville could go to Minnesota and win, but I don't ever recall a team a couple of games under 500 being 10-point favorites over a team that's only a couple of games back of them. So we'll take Jacksonville.
I like it. I like it a lot. Second game that we're looking at on the slate, we're taking the Browns. 5.5-point dogs here on the road against Tennessee. I mean, we're talking about two teams right now who just love to run the ball. You've got a couple of injuries going on. Roger Saffold still a little questionable on the line for Tennessee. You got Myles Garrett coming back for Cleveland. But it's really kind of funny because a lot of the people I talk to here, Craig, are all in on Tennessee. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill's better than Baker Mayfield. There's no love for Nick Chubb whatsoever, which I find a little on the odd side here. But a lot of the people are really putting their money on Tennessee, and they think that it's going to end up falling on Baker Mayfield's shoulders. I think it's a little closer than that.
Well, I mean, the line is 5, so we're getting an extra half a point of value there. I think it'll stay there. I think for me with the Titans, I kind of want to circle back a month ago to right before the Titans started going downhill, right? They came out of COVID. They won that big game on Thursday night. And then all of a sudden they started to slip a little bit, and they weren't covering the spreads. Even as a favorite, they were losing games outright. I think Tennessee gives really good value as an underdog, but I really don't want to bet them as a favorite because, in general, outside of that game against Indianapolis last week, they play pretty close against everyone. And provided that they're going to run the ball more than 50% of the time, it does give Cleveland an opportunity to stay in the game. So, look, what we don't want is a scenario like last week because the Browns will not be able to come back if that is the case against Tennessee. So one of the games, as we talk about, and we haven't in a few weeks, that we'll know very early on, I think, in this one if we have a shot. Because if the game is close at the half, Browns could win, and they'll definitely cover. If the Browns are down 14 or 17 at the half, we'll probably be in trouble there. But, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt Baker has not played well. You have to just hope that he's pulled it around. And look, we have a lot of games this week. There is a Sunday night game. There's 2 Monday night games and a Tuesday game. We're not going to be in love with every pick that we make. We have to pick 5 games, and we're trying to avoid more than one game on those Monday night, Tuesday night scenarios because we don't know what could happen between now and then. I feel most confident in tomorrow's slate because it's here, because I can almost touch it. I know it's tomorrow. I'm so scared of taking a game and not knowing a few days out with COVID. Last year, I wouldn't have been that nervous about it. So anyway, Browns plus 5.5 for our second pick.
All right. Pick number 3, we're taking the Rams. We're laying 3 points here. I believe the line is now 2.5 right now. So we are losing a half point in value. But I mean, again, these are 2 teams where we've discussed this over and over again. The last 4 games that the Cardinals have played, they've lost 3 of 4, and the one that they did win was on a Hail Mary. It's a tough situation here, especially also with the uncertainty of Kyler Murray. And is the shoulder healthy? I know he was taken off the injury report, but is he back? And what can we expect there? So I kind of like the Rams here. I feel like this comes down to a close one here as well. But I feel like when you're looking at Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, I think that they can definitely put something together here.
Rams have been excellent in the bounce back spot. That's what they've been. I don't think you want to take them after a couple wins in a row or maybe even after a win, but they've been really good after a loss and really good the last 2 years after a loss. And as far as the Cardinals are concerned, I think they did overachieve in the first half. I can't speak to how serious or not Murray is hurt or not, but clearly they're not running him nearly as much. And when you're not, you're sort of removing all of the value from him and what he does, because that was really the most dynamic player in the NFL for about a month. So I think that you basically set it up correctly. When have the Cardinals won convincingly in a game? October? Like, has it been that long? Like, I don't know. It's been, it feels forever. So I do like the Rams. I don't love taking road favorites here, but I think the Cardinals, unfortunately, are going down that same road that they went down last year, where they kind of got us feeling really good about them and then started to fall apart a little bit. And if there is an advantage on the coaching side, I think it's pro Rams. So yes, we'll lay the points
definitely. Here. Yeah, good point there. Very good point. Well, so it's kind of funny that you were saying, well, I was a little scared Monday and Tuesday. We took 2 early games. We took 1 afternoon game, 1 4:00 game there. And now our next pick, we go all the way to the early action on Monday night, the 5 p.m. game. That's the Steelers over the Washington football team. That's 7.5. I asked you right before the stream if you were a little nervous about Big Ben being questionable with the knee. That was an issue that bothered him a couple of weeks ago. I think it was right before their bye, or not their bye, their one of their postponement games.
Right.
But we're taking the Steelers, laying the 7.5. I think the Steelers D is really what it comes down to.
I agree, and I think this is a great bounce back spot when people are low on Pittsburgh after watching them play this past week. Right. I know the line right now is even 7. But look, let's be honest. Alex Smith has been fantastic. He's been great. Gibson's been great. But who have they been great against? New York and Dallas? Like, I don't know. I think that Pittsburgh is in a different category here than Washington. They are at home. Tomlin was pretty strong after the game, saying the JV team won, meaning their own team won, just insulting them. I know they have a big defensive injury, but I think the Steelers do bounce back in this one. And we've been really good on or against the Steelers all year. So we'll take them again here. Yeah, really good with them. And look, when a team is 11-0, you should be really good with them. But yeah, I mean that's the bottom line. And look, they honestly had Hollywood Brown or the defender on Pittsburgh, right? I don't know who was the defender. I don't know. Do you know?
I think it was Joe Hayden.
Okay, if Joe Hayden doesn't fall and Hollywood Brown doesn't run all the way in for a touchdown. I mean, what are we really even talking about? We're talking about Pittsburgh dominating Baltimore, but because of that touchdown, it made it a little bit closer. It seemed like Baltimore was really in the game when they weren't. Anyway, I don't love having to go to Monday night, especially twice here, but I do think Pittsburgh is the pick for me here.
Oh man, you just gave away our last pick. Oh, it is the other Monday night game. It's definitely not Tuesday. All right, so there you go. We're taking the 49ers, who are neither the home nor the away team here. It's in Arizona because of the ordinance in Santa Clara County, and that no sports games are allowed to be played, no full contact at all. So they head down to Arizona. We're taking the 49ers with +2.5 here against the Buffalo Bills. Again, this is for me. I see San Francisco getting healthier. You look at their offense; they're getting Ayuk back. We already saw Deebo Samuel last week, Raheem Mostert last week. Is Nick Mullins worse than Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, people keep pointing to Nick Mullins, and I'm like, well, what's Jimmy Garoppolo ever done? So I look at this as a nice little outing here for the 49ers. They don't have to travel too far to get to this game. Buffalo, on the other hand, one of those teams, you've seen Josh Allen kind of struggle in games from time to time. So, yeah, it hit me when I saw this, and maybe it had to do with the Monday Night Dog or whatever that we've been talking about, but I've liked them over the Bills here, and I love the Bills overall as a football team anyway, just not in this game.
Right. And look, you've been spot on with the Bills all year, on or against them. That's first of all. Second of all, I know you don't like the 49ers, so if we're really taking the 49ers, you must really like something about this game, that's for sure. Look, in terms of Mullins, in terms of their offense, it is crystal clear for me. And it could be cliche, probably is. I can guarantee you this. If the 49ers win the turnover battle, they're going to win the game. It's the only thing that holds them back in wins and losses. If they fumble or throw picks, they lose. And when they don't, they win. I know you could probably say that about a lot of teams in the NFL, but in particular, this is that team. Like, look at the stat lines for Mullins and Garoppolo. 180 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. They lose. 210 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. They win. Mostert doesn't fumble. They win. They dominated the Rams last game in Los Angeles. They dominated them, but they came out of the half. Mullins threw a pick, Mostert fumbled, they got right back in the game, and then they still fought their way back to get that win. That was really impressive by San Francisco. That was one of the bigger dogs over the last couple of weeks, winning outright, by the way. They were getting 7 points there. So, it's one of those games where I probably would not have identified a winner here. It's a hard one for me to call. I will tell you that of all the games on the board, we're going to get a 1.5 value. That's the most we can get of any game on the board this week. So, may as well take San Francisco +2.5 in Arizona.
In Arizona. All right. So there you go. Those are our 5 games right there. Again, it's the Jaguars +10. It's the Browns +5.5. We're laying 3 with the Rams. We're laying 7.5 with the Steelers, and we're taking 2.5 points here for the 49ers. Other games that you were kind of eyeballing here. I mean, I know that we kind of bandied back and forth about whether or not to take the Bengals,
right?
Getting the 11.5 there. Oh, here's the big one. We've opted not to take the Lions here, right?
I know.
Well, again, what was roughly 65% of the time, and this was presented to me. If it's 65% of the time that a team who fires its coach wins or wins outright or covers the next game, Well, it's already happened twice, so that's 66% of the time. So obviously, this is the third time that we shouldn't be doing it. Simple
So
math.
yeah, so if Gase gets fired next week, then the following week we'll take Richie Kotite. Um,
Ooh, really?
yeah,
Really? You're gonna double whammy me with a Gase and Kotite?
I still like the Lions. I still think is Galladay playing, by the way?
No.
He's not playing
Galladay's
again.
out. Swift is out. Thumpkin is still bothering Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
They
I
waived
understand.
they waived Marvin Hall so that they could get more Quintez Cephas in there.
I thought Marvin Hall was pretty good. Anyway, I understand it. I guess it's just a matter of blind betting here. And I suppose the lesson that we'll learn from here is if Detroit covers, we just have to promise ourselves we're just going to do this forever and just not. It just doesn't matter.
100%.
Yeah, we'll
You've
have
got a total deal there. No problem at all.
if Detroit covers. And yeah, the line is very interesting. It looks like look, Vegas knows things ahead of time. And for the Bengals to go down to 10.5 tells me Tua is going to play tomorrow for Miami. And that's not that Tua is bad or anything like that, but with Tua running the offense, it just hasn't looked as dynamic as it is with Fitzpatrick. So I do like Cincinnati a little bit. There's only one thing that scares me in this game. If you told me that the Dolphins scored a defensive touchdown, then I would tell you that they're going to cover. Yeah, I probably would. And that was their MO for a few weeks, scoring defensive touchdowns and special teams touchdowns too. And the Bengals are very susceptible to that with Allen being the quarterback there. Remember, usually for the backup quarterback, it's it's one of two things. Either they come into the game and look real good, and then they fall apart the next game, or it's they get that first start, they look okay, and then the
And
film
then
is
they
out,
fall.
the teams analyze it and go, oh, he likes to run to the right. Okay, we'll put everybody to the right. It's just a real quick fix for that. So there is a little fear in me with that. We'll lean Bengals a little bit, but not enough to switch. I think beyond that. Um, Raiders Jets is fascinating to me. I would love to just take the Raiders and roll with it. It seems like they have so many injuries though, like just up and down offensively. It almost seemed. I mean, how could they take any game lightly after the way they played last week? I don't know, but it almost seems as though they're not playing their full personnel in this one.
Well, why? Who else is banged up? It's Josh Jacobs with an ankle injury.
I thought they had some defensive guys out this week, like three. No, maybe I'm wrong. Could be wrong.
I don't think so. Nobody that who really. Oh, Maurice Hurst is questionable. No, there's nobody. There's nobody out there that's definitely. I mean,
No,
Jonathan Abram is out, but we knew
that's a
he was
big
going
one,
to be
right?
out anyway.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, look, if in the contest we were getting even a point or two with the Patriots, I would definitely lean that way against the Chargers. Chargers is a favorite. That's like easy money fade. But in the contest, it's a pick 'em. I can't. I have the public money is on the Chargers this week. I am not getting it. Why? Based
Because
on what?
Justin Herbert can do no wrong. Justin Herbert's the man. Justin Herbert is the savior of all things Chargers. Maybe not, but listen, he's playing well, and that's what the public does. They respond to that. It's hot takes galore here.
I guess Philip Rivers was the same guy when he was young. Came in for Drew Brees. They got rid of Brees. Played Rivers. He threw for 350 yards, 6 games in a row. They won nothing ever. Same thing.
Speaking of the Colts,
Colts. Yeah, I got no feel on that one at all.
me neither. Me neither. I mean, I wanted to take the Colts, actually. I really did. Like, I mean, not like to the point where I was like, Craig, we got to take the Colts. That was it was my gut telling me that. And that's strictly because of their defense, which is healthy now. Danico Autry's back. DeForest Buckner's back. They're good to go for that. But I mean, again, you're talking about Deshaun Watson, a guy who, even in the toughest of matchups, can throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right.
So
Also, the Giants line moved like a half a point or a point when they officially called the backup quarterbacks up for tomorrow, indicating Jones is out for sure. So I guess the public's on Seattle tomorrow.
way to go, public.
And then what is the updated line for Tuesday? Any clue on that? Ravens, Cowboys? I haven't even looked at that one. I don't even want to mess.
No, I mean, last I saw it was still at the 9.5. Did it change up anywhere? I'll tell you right now.
7.5.
7.5 now.
So we could
Seven
have
and a
gotten
half. See?
so we could have taken Dallas and embarrassed ourselves, even getting a couple of extra points. Because we would have lost taking Dallas.
We
But
always lose taking Dallas. We don't take Dallas. Yeah. Oh, Craig, come on. Chargers laying 6.5. What could possibly go wrong?
next year, the Chargers are going to be 7-point favorites in a game. They're definitely going to be 7 point, and we're going to take the other
Easily.
side. I can
Every
see it
time.
now. September, Chargers, Denver. Like you could like envision it right now.
Brutal. Brutal. Well, all right. Well, I mean, any final thoughts here? Or do we just send these picks off and mosey on out into our Saturday night?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I really don't see. I mean, again, the lines have been pretty tight. There hasn't been a lot of movement.
Well, I mean, the week is only a day and a half old right now,
Yeah,
right?
it's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, I think we're good, man. I don't see a lot this week. I always love identifying those games where the lines moved either total wise or sidewise very significantly, but there just wasn't a huge overreaction to Pittsburgh Baltimore. And usually that's what happens. You get a game during the week, Tuesday, Monday, whatever, and then the lines just shift significantly off something that happened. People
Right.
overreact to that, but I don't think really that many people did. So we got our games in. I think that'll cover it.
That'll do it. All right. Beautiful. Great stuff, as always. Big thank you to all of you out there watching. Good luck in your games. Big thanks to Matt Sells, our producer. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks for tuning in to the Wager Alarm live stream. We'll catch you next time.